The story of Solana Imani Rowe, known to the world as SZA, is a compelling odyssey of self-discovery, spiritual duality, and the total subversion of modern R&B. Born on November 8, 1989 in St. Louis and raised in the quiet suburb of Maplewood, New Jersey, Solana was the product of a household that harmonized two distinct worlds. Her father, an executive at CNN, was an Orthodox Muslim, while her mother, a high-ranking executive at AT&T, was Christian. This upbringing meant that Solana spent her formative years navigating a strict religious framework, attending a Muslim preparatory school and wearing a hijab through middle school, while simultaneously absorbing the eclectic jazz and soul collections of her parents. This intersection of discipline and artistry created a unique internal landscape. She was a girl who lived without a television or contemporary radio for much of her childhood, yet she found herself deeply influenced by the avant-garde vocals of Bjork and the lyrical complexity of jazz greats like Miles Davis. Her transition from a sheltered childhood to the pressures of suburban American life was marked by a search for belonging. After the terrorist attacks of September 11, 2001, Solana faced a wave of Islamophobic bullying that led her to stop wearing her traditional religious garments. She attempted to blend in by joining the cheerleading squad and the gymnastics team at Columbia High School, but her sense of otherness remained a constant companion. This feeling followed her to Delaware State University, where she initially set her sights on a career in marine biology. However, the pull of the creative world was too strong. She eventually dropped out of college, working various jobs as a bartender and a dancer while starting to experiment with music on the side. The name SZA, derived from the Supreme Alphabet, standing for Sovereign, Zigzag, and Allah, reflected her desire to reclaim her identity on her own terms, marking the birth of an artist who would soon redefine the sonic boundaries of her generation.
SZA's entry into the music industry was almost accidental. While she was helping her brother, a rapper, with his own recordings, she began to freestyle hooks and melodies that caught the attention of those around her. In 2011, she met Terrence "Punch" Henderson, the president of the independent label Top Dog Entertainment, or TDE, when her friend foisted her music onto him during a show. Punch recognized a rare, raw potential in her atmospheric, genre-bending sound. After releasing two independent EPs, C.SZA.Run in 2012 and S in 2013, she became the first female artist signed to TDE, home to Kendrick Lamar. Her 2014 EP, Z, served as a stylistic bridge, blending glitch hop with neo-soul and proving that she could hold her own alongside the giants of West Coast rap. Yet, despite this early momentum, the road to her debut album was fraught with self-doubt and industry delays, leading to a period of creative frustration so intense that she famously tweeted she actually quit in 2016. The release of her debut studio album, CTRL, in June 2017, didn't just save her career, it reshaped the R&B landscape. CTRL was a radical act of vulnerability, an album that traded the typical polish of the genre for a gritty, unvarnished look at modern womanhood. Through hits like Love Galore, The Weeknd, and Broken Clocks, SZA explored themes of sexual politics, insecurity, and the messy reality of being 20-something. The album was a massive critical and commercial success, earning her 5 Grammy nominations and establishing her as the premier voice for a generation grappling with the complexities of digital-age romance. The SZA sound, a mix of indie rock, trap, and classic soul, became a cultural touchstone. Even as she entered a 5-year hiatus from solo projects, her presence was felt through massive collaborations, most notably All the Stars with Kendrick Lamar for the Black Panther soundtrack, and the global smash Kiss Me More with Doja Cat, which earned her a Grammy for Best Pop Duo/Group Performance in 2022.
The long-awaited second chapter arrived in December 2022 with the release of SOS.
If Control was about the search for balance, SOS was about the storm. The album was a sprawling 23-track epic that debuted at #1 on the Billboard 200 and stayed there for 10 non-consecutive weeks, a feat not seen by an R&B artist since Whitney Houston. Singles like Kill Bill and Snooze became inescapable anthems of heartbreak and devotion, showcasing a refined vocal range and a newfound willingness to experiment with punk, folk, and rap. The SOS era saw SZA transform from a cult favorite into a global superstar, headlining her first arena tour and dominating the 2024 Grammy Awards with 9 nominations. By the time she took home the awards for Best Progressive R&B Album and Best R&B Song for Snooze, she had finally silenced any remaining doubts about her longevity or her place among the elite. As 2024 moved into 2025, SZA continued to expand her artistic and cultural footprint. In early 2025, she achieved a career milestone by performing alongside Kendrick Lamar at the Super Bowl LIX halftime show, a performance that solidified their status as the definitive creative duo of the decade. This was followed by the announcement of the Grand National Tour, a massive joint stadium tour with Lamar that saw the pair performing for millions across North America and Europe throughout the spring and summer of 2025. During this time, she also released the critically acclaimed single Satin and the long-rumoured Lana project, which served as both a deluxe expansion of SOS and a precursor to her third studio album. Her 2025 collaboration with Lamar on the track Luther further cemented her dominance, winning Record of the Year and continuing her critical and commercial wins. In addition to her musical triumphs, SZA laid a high-profile move into the world of film in 2025. She made her acting debut starring alongside Keke Palmer in the buddy comedy One of Them Days, a project produced by Issa Rae. The film allowed her to showcase the same wit and relatable charm that had always been present in her lyrics, proving that her talents extended beyond the recording booth. As she navigated the publicity for the film, she remained characteristically open about her journey with mental health, using her platform to advocate for self-love and the importance of therapy. By the start of 2026, she had effectively transitioned from a singer to a multi-hyphenate cultural anchor, managing her massive success with the same introspective, at-home vulnerability that had first drawn fans to her on SoundCloud over a decade prior. Today, in March 2026, SZA stands as a figure of immense influence, a cultural siren who has managed to stay authentic while reaching the absolute peak of the industry. Her most recent projects, including the 2026 single Diamond Boy (DTM), show an artist who is still evolving, pushing the boundaries of what alternative R&B can mean. Whether she's performing at a sold-out stadium in London or sharing unfiltered thoughts on her environmental activism and her love for marine biology, she operates with a level of transparency that feels rare in the era of curated celebrity. She has survived the pressures of the TDE hierarchy, the anxiety of a sophomore slump, and the intense scrutiny of fame to emerge as a woman who is truly in control. Solana Rowe has taught her audience that life is a series of zigzags and that the most beautiful art often comes from the moments when we are most afraid to show our true selves.